Live.
All right. Well, today we are going to be talking about Google for nonprofits and how this can help any nonprofit get to the first page of Google with no extra effort than just signing up on this website. You can see right here, I'm on the screen where you go to do it, google.com/nonprofits. And as long as you have your, I think it's 501 form proving you're a nonprofit, you just put that code in and you can get approved pretty quickly. So I'm going to take a look at one of these organizations real quick and show you how that works. Okay. So you just put in your email, your name, job title, and then they ask you for your 501c(k). So it usually takes about a day or two. It's pretty quick, and it's really, if you have the right form, it's 501c form will have basically the information you need to get started. And it's like 3 pieces of information. It's pretty quick, pretty easy. If you ever have questions, you can go ahead and reach out to me, Stacy, or Chris, and we'll point you in the right direction. So once you get signed up on Google for Nonprofits, they will basically send you all the login information then for Google AdWords. And Google AdWords looks like this. So this is what it would look like if you weren't signed up. You put in your email address, and they will walk you through a 4-step process. So normally you'd have to add a credit card so that they could charge you. But in this case, since they're going to give you a budget to just work with, you would just log in. Now, Stacy, since I can't really see what's going on the webinar, is it showing? It's just showing you my Google AdWords screen, right? It doesn't show you my PowerPoint.
Yep,
All
I
right,
see that.
so this is what Google AdWords looks like, and I'm going to get to this in a moment, but I'm going to jump over to my PowerPoint real quick just to talk about Google AdWords and why you want to use it. So screen share. Oh, that's me in Seattle.
Oh, we have a guest. Yay.
Hey.
Marco is here. Hi, Marco. I did just post the Google Hangouts link in the invite, just in case people didn't get it. So.
Okay. So here's my PowerPoint presentation. So basically, this is, you get to advertise on Google, get on the first page of Google, and instead of having to spend money, you just get it for free because Google's so nice to nonprofits. Now,
that's the Google Hangout sound. Huh?
So back to the 501. That's that's the form you need to get signed up. Once you're signed up, you can basically use Google AdWords to send people to your website. Basically, it comes out to about $330 a day that you can spend on Google AdWords with a maximum cost per click of $2. What that means is when someone clicks on an ad, it would charge up a maximum of $2. So you get about 150 people to your website per day, guaranteed. And if you set up the system correctly and you bid on non-competitive keywords, you can, pay $1 or less. So that's 330 people to your website a day. So you can go from 0 to 330 instantaneously through this system. It's the fastest way to get, and this is the first page of Google too. So it's the fastest way to get traffic to your website, and it's the fastest way to really get the word out for your nonprofit. And you can target basically things. So really, instead of having to blog, make videos, and really, when in SEO it comes down to you have to do more than than your competitor. So if your competitor has 10 blog posts, you would have to do at least 11, probably more like 20, to show up above them on the list. And if there's 20 competitors, with 20 blog posts, that it quickly gets exponential to the point where you'd have to have something like 400 blog posts to even get close to the front page of Google. So nonprofits here have a huge advantage to really get the word out with very, very little time and very little effort. So here's a couple infographics about Google Grants and how it works. So basically, let's say in this case, this would be a summer camp, right? They're looking for counselors. You just identify the keywords that you want to get, and you plug it into the system, and then you create an ad. And basically, instead of having to do all the work that other websites would have to do to get to the first page of Google, which can really quickly add up to hundreds of hours, you basically spend, I would say, about an hour, submitting your 5031 form to the website. If you go Google Nonprofits, you'll find Google Grants on the first page. So it takes about an hour to get signed up, and then it takes about an hour to basically set up the system. So in 2 hours, you can have your nonprofit on the first page of Google and stay on the first page of Google, because really they're going to give you an indefinite amount of free money. So this is really, it's hard to put into words how easy and how much of an advantage nonprofits have on almost any other type of business or any other type of website on the internet. This would cost you a lot of money. Again, $10,000 a month would come out to $120,000 a year. So, and what's even more amazing than that is if you end up using the system thoroughly, they will up your budget from $10,000 a month to $40,000 a month. So that's $40,000 times 12. That's $480,000 a year. Half $500,000 for free money to use on Google for advertising. So, nonprofits, not only do they not really have to compete with businesses, because they're usually two entirely different types of audiences, they get this huge advantage from Google. So you're really just leaving money on the table if you're not taking advantage of this. So, and a lot of the stuff that you would do in SEO on your website, Google actually teaches you through the Google AdWords system. So they're talking here about identifying keywords you want to use for your business. You don't have to do any of this, really. If you sign up for the Google Grants and get the Google AdWords account, they'll actually walk you through the rest of this. So here they say write effective and succinct copy. Now, most people have to write a bunch of content for their website, right, to attract the right people. In this case, you really don't. If you just have a one-page website, that's more than enough, because at that point, the only content you need to write is the ads, and the ads are like 100 to 200 characters. So we're talking about a sentence or two versus having to write, pages and pages of content. So I'm going to go back to Google AdWords and just kind of walk you through the basics of it. So here's Google AdWords for a nonprofit I'm working with. They are a car museum in Los Angeles. They're called the Automobile Driving Museum. So here, the first step you do is you create a campaign over here on the left-hand side. So you'll see campaigns 1 through 5. We have 12 campaigns in total, but we only have 5 running right now. So if we click on the 1 through 5, you'll basically get a list of the different types of campaigns. And for instance, this car museum, they mostly market to kids because they have this Hot Wheels exhibit, Hot Wheels cars. So they have that once a month. Now the next thing is they're located in El Segundo of Los Angeles. So we have different groups for the different types of people we're trying to attract. One group here you'll see is we're trying to attract people that are interested in museums. Another group for people from El Segundo. Another group for people that like Cadillacs. Another group for people that like Fords. Another group for people that need party venues. So you basically identify the kind of people that you want to attract. Your donors, your volunteers, anybody that you want to get more of to your website. And if you're having a hard time figuring this out, a really helpful website to use is called SpyFu. If you go Google SpyFu, it's called spyfu.com, spyfu.com. And basically what they allow you to do is they allow you to take a competitor, run the competitor through their website, spyfu.com, and it'll actually tell you what ads they're running what keywords they're that they're aiming for. So all you really need to know to get started is you need to find that 501 3C form. That gets you signed up to Google AdWords. Then the name of one competitor. And with that one competitor, you can pretty much copy their system, copy it over into your Google AdWords account, and then just tweak it so that it works for you instead of them. So if you don't know who a competitor is, a good way to find them is to just Google your business. So in this case, I'm going to go Automobile Driving Museum. And you'll see Automobile Driving Museum pop up. Now, keep in mind that we've already put ads up, so you're actually going to see some of our own ads. You'll see the first ad at the top, Automobile Driving Museum. That's one of our ads. But then below that, you're actually going to see your competitor ads. Because what happens is your competitors, especially other nonprofits, they are basically looking out for who they're competing against. So in this case, you'll see americascarmuseum.org. This is another car museum. And this one's actually located in Tacoma. So I'm right now in Seattle, not LA. So there's some Seattle ads popping up. But again, it's a car museum. And they found my location, which is Seattle, and they're showing me a car museum nearby. So I could use, and Peterson.org is the example we're going to use today. That is the other big car museum in Los Angeles. Now, they are not a nonprofit, and we'll talk about that later. But you'll see one of their ads right there. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the Peterson.org's URL and go back over to SpyFu. Now, SpyFu, you can go ahead and just paste in the URL, Peterson.org, press enter. And they're going to do, they're going to run a little scan, and they're going to get back to you and tell you basically what Peterson is doing. So here's the Peterson Museum and what they're doing. They spend $20,000 on pay-per-click per month. So they're not a nonprofit. They have no limitations on what they do. So basically, if you're a nonprofit and you're competing against a non-nonprofit, and that's a little bit weird saying that, you can't ever possibly hope to compete with them because they have a much larger budget than you. They're already implementing a pay-per-click system. It makes absolutely no sense why you wouldn't want to be using Google Grants, because basically they're using the advantage that Google's giving you for free, and they're paying for it. So Peterson.org, they spend $20,000 a month. You get half their budget for free, absolutely for free. And the funny thing is, when I got started with the Automobile Driving Museum, the Peterson Museum was only spending about $12,000 to $14,000 a month. Since getting started, we started cutting into their traffic and cutting into their pay-per-click system. They are mostly about high-end cars, and basically they get a lot of the biggest companies like Tesla and Corvette. They basically take their newest cars to this museum and they advertise with them. So, but they also used to target a lot of kids, because kids are some of the people that help push their parents to go to the museum. So if you go down far enough, you'll start to see what the Peterson is doing. And right here it shows you their top keywords. So for their case, it's Los Angeles, California automotive. And so those are their organic keyword phrases. So they're not really a kids museum, but what they ended up their PPC system was actually mostly targeting kids, because since they're already #1 for Los Angeles Car Museum, they don't really need to spend money from Google to help them stay #1. Since they're not a nonprofit like we are, and since they don't hold kid-specific events, the Automobile Driving Museum, the one that I work for, they have once a month. It's called Hot Wheels Car Museum, and they take life-size Hot Wheel cars, and they have a whole display of them. And because of that, they attract a lot of kids. And the kids are actually what the Peterson Museum used to be targeting with their pay-per-click system. Now, ever since we got started, they've been basically investing more and more money into it, because the one limitation to Google Grants is that they limit you at $2 a click. And what this means is that you can the maximum amount of money that you can bid on any given keyword phrase. So the way it works is when someone Googles, let's for instance here on the right hand side, kids learning, okay, Google AdWords goes out and asks everybody that has a Google AdWords account, you know, this search has come up, and your competitors are paying this much per click. And so at that point, you can either bid more than them, or you can say, no, I'll wait until a later time when it's cheaper. And again, you know, as you can imagine, between noon to 5 o'clock are the peak hours of the day. That's when it's most expensive. So you can, so the limitation with Google Grants is basically that you can't bid for the most competitive keywords, and you can't usually bid at the most expensive times, you know, the most popular times of the day. But what this does help with actually is it trains you on how to be smart with your money. So that one of the problems I think with Google AdWords is that Google points everybody to the same keyword phrases. So they basically artificially inflate the prices of keywords. They're like, they'll tell you 1 million people are searching for kids learning, and they'll tell that to everybody, and they'll try to push as many people to that keyword phrase as possible because it basically makes the bid price go up. Now, you know, that's the fastest way to burn through a budget, is to bid on the most expensive keywords. So this system that for nonprofits actually teaches you how to be smart with your money, and it teaches you how to create a strategy where it maximizes your budget. So sometimes some people would say, you know, that it's a bad thing, that, you know, they can't compete with the people like the Peterson Museum, because the Peterson Museum can always overbid us. But at the same time, when that happens, it just teaches us to look for other avenues for advertising. So here you can see what your competitors are doing, which keywords that they're bidding on. So you could just copy and paste those over into Google AdWords. It'll also show you the ads that they're putting up. So I'm just going to show a couple of the ads as examples. So here it'll show you all what the Peterson Museum is doing, and you can see they have a ton of ads. But their top ads are right here on the right-hand side. Cheap vintage cars. So they also sell cars. Here you'll see one, experience 100 years of history for America's favorite car museum. If you go down a little bit farther, you'll see Los Angeles Children Museum. Now this is basically what we would try to do, because that's the audience we're trying to attract for the Automobile Driving Museum. So, you know, now you can see exactly what ads, you know, you can pretty much just copy and paste these ads. So car museums, enjoy famous cars, family events, and movies at the Peterson. So, you know, all we would have to do in this case is enjoy famous cars, family events, and movies at the Automobile Driving Museum. You'll see that instead of having to write 20 blog posts at 200 to 400 words minimum, they usually go up to 600, 800 is the average. So, you know, that's a lot of content to write. This Google grant system, you spend an hour, you know, submitting your 501c thing, setting up the account, and then another hour basically just writing a couple of ads and importing keywords. And so basically the hardest part really for almost anyone is usually just creating the ads. And you know what? Since it's free money, you don't have to be a perfectionist about it, and you can learn during the process. So I'm going to go back to the to our Google AdWords system and just take a look. So I'm going to choose the ad group at the top that we're spending the most money on. So that's about $200 out of $330 a day is spent on this group. So if you click on this group, what happens is you get a list of keywords. So here it is, car museum. That's where we spend the majority of the budget, about $60. Automobile Driving Museum. So that was back where I Googled myself, Automobile Driving Museum. There's the ad right there. So, you know, you'll see it has a link to the website and the one line that you have to come up with. So you can do this in a couple of minutes. Again, if you're having trouble, you can either hire an SEO professional like myself, or even a social media marketer like Stacy. She does this on Twitter. She does this on Facebook. You know, social media posts are very similar to Google AdWords posts. So if you're having trouble with it, don't reinvent the wheel. Go out and Google or Facebook some of the things that you'd like to show up for, and just take a look at the first page of results. In SEO, 90% of traffic doesn't go past the first page. So really, the first page is the only thing you should be looking at, you know, for reference for inspiration. So Twitter's a great place to look for ads because Facebook and Google Plus and LinkedIn, their maximum character count is much higher than the amount of characters you're allowed in a Google AdWords post. Twitter and Google AdWords are very, very similar in the amount of characters they allow. So, an example if you're trying to find some ads, automobile driving museum. We're trying to, a kids museum near me. You just Googled that, and you were I'm in Seattle, so someone in Los Angeles would have to do this to find the Los Angeles one, or you could go near Los Angeles. You're going to get a list of results. Here are some ads that you could even use as reference, and you'll get a list of websites also. Now, these are called snippets. So this is basically just the title of the web page, the link, and the meta description. The number of characters that a meta description has is also very similar to the amount of characters they allow you on a Google Ads. So again, if you can't figure out what you want to say, just Google what you want to show up for and copy and paste it into the system. And then change out, of course, the name of the business or the name of the location that you're trying to advertise or the name of your nonprofit so that it fits your purpose. So back to the campaign. Here's the list of keywords. And basically, you determine a list of keywords. Now, you can do that by clicking the big red plus keywords button. And you can just type them out. So in this case, we would go kids museum, kids museum near me, kids museum, Los Angeles. Once you've typed out just a couple keywords, on the right-hand side, they're going to start to tell you basically other keywords and make recommendations for you. So I'm going to make the screen, I'm going to zoom in a little bit so it's a little bit easier to see this. Here on the right-hand side, you'll see need ideas, try Keyword Planner, or check out these example keywords based on a scan of your website. So they're going to scan up your website. They're also going to make recommendations based on the keywords that you start with on the left-hand side. But you'll see classic cars for sale, classic muscle cars for sale. So we're going to, and they even categorize them for you. So if what we're really looking for is a car, car museum, we can go down until we find car museum. So California Museum, Peterson Museum. So they pulled up our competitor. So California Auto Museum. I'm going to reduce. We don't want to sell cars. That's not what this client, which is just a car museum, is. They're not trying to sell cars. They have. So here's car museum. You could click on car museum, and boom, they just have a list of keywords that you could use. So you can go add all from this category, or just start hitting the ones you like. So again, all you really need to do is Google Google the name of your business first. Pay attention to basically the keywords that show up in the titles and the meta descriptions, and you can work backwards from there. So once you've imported a bunch of keywords into the system, you'll see them here on the keywords tab. Now the next step after you've imported keywords is to create an ad. Someone's going to Google one of your keywords, and then your ad is supposed to pop up. So that's going to be the next step in the process. Here, you can make an ad by, same thing, clicking the big red ad button. So this is where the copying and pasting from either the Google search results and or Twitter would come in handy. So I Googled, kids museum near Los Angeles. Let's go kids car museum, so it gets even a little bit more specific. The best children's museums in Los Angeles. So Kirby's Kid Corners, Mom's LA. If you go down far enough, you will find one that's like ours. So there it is. Zimmer's Children's Museum is a nonprofit cultural institution located on here. So you can basically copy and paste one of these if you like it and go back to Google AdWords and paste it in. So you just come up with a title, which is the headline, and the description. So here we have the automobile driving the museum, the LA car museum that gives rides in its vintage collection. So now you can come up with multiple ads, or you can just start with one. So you basically, if you can just come up with one search phrase, kids car museum, and put that into Google AdWords, Google will then make a recommendation, will make recommendations for more. And then with just one ad, the system can get started. So once once you've got one ad and a list of keywords, it'll start to burn through the budget as quickly as possible. Now you'll find eventually that that certain keywords aren't working at all, or it's a good idea to have multiple ads because you never know sometimes whether people like one thing versus the other. So I'm going to go back to the full campaign instead of just a group and show you some of the other ads we have here. So this is the one that uses most of the budget because it's the most general of all the other ones. Now here's one for their Hot Wheels event. So Hot Wheels Garage LA. Life-size Hot Wheels, prizes, games, and family fun. Here's another one. Upcoming ride, Sunday, November 22nd, 2015. Drive a 1962 Chevrolet Corvair. So you just come up with a bunch of different ads. You import a list of keywords. Another place to get your list of keywords is Google Webmaster Tools. Google Webmaster Tools is where Google's going to tell you what keywords are currently driving traffic to your website. So if you just Google Webmaster Tools, you'll see it at the top of the list, Google Search Console. If you click here, it's going to take you to, they call it the Search Console. And you would then want to click on your website. So when you click on your website, then you will get a list of keywords. And if I'm just making this overly complicated, this is where you could reach out to someone like me or someone like Stacy. We'd be happy to help. So here's the Automobile Driving Museum. You just click on the website. It's going to take you to the dashboard. Now, to get to the list of keywords, you would click on the left-hand side. You're going to see search traffic. So if you expand the search traffic one, under the first one at the top of search traffic is going to be search analytics. So again, that's Google Webmaster Tools. You click on that. You click on your website. Then it's going to take you to the dashboard. Then you click on search traffic on the left-hand side and search analytics. So here they're going to give you a list of keywords. Now it's pretty much as simple. If you scroll down all the way to the bottom, there's going to be a download button. You can hit the download button, and it's going to export it into a CSV file, which is just an Excel spreadsheet. So if you open up this file, you're going to see all the keywords that were on that previous page, and you can easily copy them by just selecting the cells. So this is really this is the easiest way to get your first list of keywords. Go in there, export this, copy the list, and go right back to Google AdWords. So here you could go, remember now, you'll see up here under campaign the different tabs. You just want to click on keywords, plus keywords, the big red button. It says enter one keyword per line. And you could just copy the list that you got from Google Webmaster Tools and press paste. This is really one of the best, easiest lists of keywords that would be useful for your website. Looking at your competitors is always useful because very often they might be doing something that you didn't think about. Also, Google Webmaster Tools only shows you the keywords that you're currently getting traffic from. So it doesn't know what it doesn't know, and it's not going to show you keywords that are successful for other people. So that's where SpyFu would be useful, because SpyFu is going to tell you what your competitors are doing currently, what keywords they're targeting, what ads they're running, so it's just an extra place for information. So you import your keywords, you create an ad, and your system's off and running. And you're now going to be showing up on the first page of Google for any of the keywords that you've imported into the system. So, and basically, so you can set this up. It should take you an hour to 2 hours, maybe 3 hours max. and next thing you know, you're going to be showing up on the first page of Google from here on out. And again, you don't have to worry about it maxing out your credit card. This is free money Google is just going to give to you. So you can set it and forget it, and just know that you're going to be on the first page of Google. Now, I do recommend you coming back basically however often you can to see what's happening, because Google is going to continue to make recommendations so that you can maximize your budget and get more traffic out of the $10,000 that they give you monthly. So how does it do this? Not only does it have, whenever you press the plus keywords on the on the right hand side, it'll show you keyword recommendations. Again, I'll type in here Kid Museum, Los Angeles. And on the right hand side, it's going to make keyword recommendations. So that's one of the ways that they help you optimize your system. But once you've had it running for a little while, it's going to make periodic recommendations, and you'll see it right here, this little yellow message. In this campaign, 3 ads disapproved, add 106 keywords, view all. So I'm going to click the view all. Basically, here's a bunch of recommendations that they want you to do to maximize your budget and just basically get more out of the free money they're giving to you. So in this case, there's a couple of ads that were disapproved. Now, the reason why these ads were disapproved for this client is simply because they were ads for an event that's now passed. They're smart enough to realize that, and they will basically shut down those ads and tell you to either update the location or update the date. So again, you don't want to be putting out ads on the internet for an event that's already passed. So Google's looking out for you, and that's an easy way to fix and tweak your system. But this is really the one that I'd recommend this is the reason why you'd want to check back on your account. I'd say probably monthly at least. So it says add 106 keywords. So if you click the view button here, it'll actually tell you a bunch of keywords that other people are using that you can add to your system with really zero work at all. If you just click that button, it's going to be right here. Here are 25 keywords related to Los Angeles that you could add to your system. And they'll say adding these keywords could get you 920 more impressions and 24 clicks. This may increase the cost of your marketing thing by $31. Again, it's all free money, so might as well just hit apply. So you'll see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 recommendations here. You don't really even need to read it. It's free money. You can, if you want to get more in depth about this, feel free. But you can just go apply, 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 apply. So in about 20 seconds, I have made the system a little bit smarter. So you spend an hour signing up, an hour setting it up, and then just check in 20 minutes or 5 minutes a month. And next thing you know, you're going to have a system in place that gets you on the first page of Google. This is a fraction of the amount of time and effort you would spend to have to do this organically. Organically is like scratching and clawing your way to the top. This is the best shortcut possible for SEO. So the power in this system really, I mean, first it starts with the fact that it's free money from Google. The second part is that Google really tries to promote their Google AdWords system by offering opportunities that they don't offer anywhere else. And again, I'm going to get kind of technical right now, but basically the way it works is when Google first came out, everything was for free. And eventually, you know, they became the monopoly of search engines, and they wanted to start making money. So they rolled out Google AdWords. Now, Google AdWords basically allows people to get on the first page of Google. But as things progressed, things changed. At some point, they wanted to protect the privacy of the people that were searching. So what they did was they encrypted searches. When this happened, basically, now whenever you go to Google Analytics, you can't see the keywords that people are using to find you. They're protecting their privacy. So to get this information now, you have to go through Google AdWords instead of Google Analytics. What used to be free, now you have to pay for. And this happens with every single platform. You know, if you saw it with Facebook recently. When Facebook first came out, it was all free marketing. Then they went public, and then they needed to start making money for their investors, and now they have a huge advertising platform, and a lot of the things that used to be free you now have to pay for. So the great news here for nonprofits is you still don't have to pay for it. You get all the bells and whistles, all the advantages that a lot of for-profit businesses have to pay for free. So you get an advantage on for-profit businesses in the fact that you get a $10,000 a month free advertising budget, so you don't have to worry about making mistakes. You can implement it very quickly. All you need is the 501c form to get started, instead of figuring out how much, instead of saving money and making sure that you don't burn through that money too quickly. It's very stress-free. And then you get all these other advantages like the keyword planner. And there's many other tools here. If you click on the tools section up at the top, they'll have keyword planner, display planner, ad preview, and diagnostics. Now, the first one's the most important because basically, instead of having to do research, they will tell you straight up which are the most searched for keywords. Basically, it'll help you figure out your audience. And instead of a process of learning, like a lot of people have to go through, you get to use the system for free, and they basically tell you what you need to do. So Display Planner is basically the difference between desktop and mobile phones. And the good news here is that ads look the same on all devices. So again, unlike most websites that would have to worry about optimizing their website for the desktop and mobile, your ads show up exactly the same on both. So this whole system really, really reduces SEO to a much simpler system, and since it's free, there's no reason not to get started. So Stacy, go ahead and you can take over from here and start to explain how social media can kind of tie into this and complement a pay-per-click system, and how it can help a nonprofit basically get the word out. Increase donations, find volunteers. You can do that through Google AdWords, and a lot of you probably are already doing it through social media also.
The one thing is we need to add Chris, and I can't invite him. So can you invite him?
Yeah, I'll invite Chris. You go ahead and.
Okay. Yeah, it's just I think some people are able to join the meeting, but then I don't know. So, so pretty much there's a couple things I see lots of businesses do on social media, and nonprofits especially, I feel like, have this issue. And the issue is, I like to put it, if everybody cares, nobody cares. Has anyone ever heard that? It used to happen when I worked in childcare. That was something we'd say. And basically what we would do when I worked in childcare is we would assign each child a primary caregiver, because it's that same idea. If you have your whole business, everyone in your business responsible for social media, everyone's supposed to contribute, usually what I see happen is nothing at that point, because everyone either is too busy or thinks someone else is taking care of it. And the reason why that's a big deal is if your business or nonprofit gets really excited and starts a Facebook page and a Twitter page, and then they don't update it, then it can show potential visitors and donors just that you're flaky, which isn't a good situation. And we know, because we all work really hard, that that's not the case. Usually when it's not happening, it's because we have better things to do than update our Facebook pages and Twitter pages, etc. However, your potential donors and visitors don't know that. They just think that if you're not updating, it's because you're flaky or you don't care about it. And really it's sending the message, if you can't care about this silly social media platform, if you can't care about a Facebook page, how much are you going to really care about these people who are contributing to your organization? So I think that's the main thing that I really like to tell people, is that if you choose to utilize social media, you really do have to be consistent with updating your pages. A lot of people think I'm going to get way fancier and more complicated and in-depth, and really that's the number one thing, is you have to stay up to date. And that's putting an update on your page, a relevant update on your page, every day or couple days or so. And that's really the best place to start. A lot of people will spend time just obsessing over doing the right thing or posting the right thing, or being afraid to post. And really how you have to start is just by doing it. Because if you let that page sit there vacant, then it just looks like maybe you're not even participating anymore, you're not active anymore. So that's really where I recommend people to start, is find out some sort of schedule for posting, and as much as you can plan in advance and schedule. Some people really don't like the idea of scheduling social media. However, if that's what's going to help you get it done, then that's definitely what you should do. And usually a lot of people can't even tell when you have scheduled content. They're just happy to see something and to know that you're active and participating in the community. The other thing that's going to help you get found is if you're using Google AdWords, you should definitely be updating your Google Plus page for your business. A lot of people, I think, say, well, I don't want to do Google Plus because no one looks at it, but Google Plus is actually a really huge part of your search engine optimization. A lot of people think, well, no one looks at Google Plus, but Google really looks at Google Plus. So you have to be sure that if you are, that you just put an update to Google Plus every, as often as you're updating Facebook. And a lot of systems have it so you can push the same message out to both if that's what you have time or what you prefer to do. So, and I think just any platform you choose to use, just staying current. I know I keep saying that, but it can be really hard when I've had people who want me to do their nonprofit social media and for free, which I don't have time to take on a lot of volunteer work. I have quite a few things that I'm doing right now. So it's either finding someone in your organization who's who's going to do it. If they're really not going to do it or your volunteer can't keep up, that's fine. But you might want to consider either hiring it out, having a volunteer who's really going to do it, or if you really don't want to keep up or you really can't, I always tell people it's okay to not have a page. I know that sounds very counterintuitive, but really I think it's better to have pages that are up to date and look nice and have relevant content than just not having anything at all. Because if you think about it, if you get a referral to a business and you check them out online and they haven't updated for 3 years, which happens, doesn't look very good. The same thing goes with Instagram too. I know a lot of organizations, they'll get started on Instagram and they're really excited by that, and then when you go on to check out their Instagram page, it'll be all, it'll be pretty out of date. And Instagram's a huge one to really think about, because what people like to do is when they go to events, like every event I go to, what I do is I'll take a picture on Instagram and I will tag wherever I am. And most of the time it says, oh, their last post was a year ago or 6 weeks ago or 10 weeks ago. So it's just a really easy thing that only takes a couple of minutes to just put up a picture on Instagram of your day or your events or something. That makes a big difference with just credibility. I really like to think of it as a credibility piece rather than, oh, I'm going to post this and get all these clients and get all these donors. You're going to meet those clients and donors elsewhere, and then they're going to see what you're posting and remember you and engage with you, and you're going to appear much more credible than if you didn't do that kind of stuff. So I think that's my main point, is just if you're going to do it, do it. And it sounds very simplistic, but a lot of people have a really hard time with that. So it's an important thing to think about. Okay, am I really dedicated to this? Is this something I really want to do? And do it. Unfortunately, it's not like AdWords where you can just kind of fix it and forget about it and log in once a month. You do have to be updating, at least a few times a week to get that consistency. And I think the other thing to remember is that nothing in life happens overnight. If you've talked to me before, you've heard me say this a million times, but I always, which is probably getting boring, relate this back to weight loss. If we all could work out once and eat a healthy meal and be skinny, we'd all have perfect bodies. However, it's not like that. Things happen consistently over time when you put in consistent work over time. So the same thing with social media. You can't just post once or for a month and just be like, oh, okay, I posted, where's all the business? It takes time. It's taken me, gosh, I've been in business 4 years, and I'm getting lots of great opportunities that are coming my way through my online presence. However, that didn't happen in the first 2 years even. So it is really something that you have to kind of look at it through the long haul so that you can get that rather than just being, well, I posted, nothing happened, I'm not going to do this anymore. So it really is a time investment, and if you do choose to delegate it, it can be a money investment as well.
Consistency, I think, is the most important part, really.
Yeah.
You know, like Stacy said at the beginning, you figure out how often you can do it, and then less is more, because if you do too much, you're going to burn yourself out. But if it's once a month, post once a month, make it regular. Then once you find yourself being able to do that, maybe make it once every 3 weeks. But SEO, a lot of it is about consistency. So if you just do a lot 1 month and then stop for 3 months, you're basically going to go up and go right back down. So yeah, it's figuring out something that works for you and applying that consistently. So, and I liked what Stacy said, because it's a lot of hard work, really, with social media and with SEO in general. Google AdWords is the ultimate cheat and the ultimate shortcut. And it's intended for businesses. And
do it.
It's intended for businesses that are going to pay for it. So nonprofits have an unbelievable advantage here. They have an advantage on for-profit businesses. They have an advantage on everybody on the internet, really.
So are we having some technical difficulties with Hangouts?
Yeah, I mean, so Chris Lolini of Reputation Igniter is supposed to be joining us on the phone call. I've invited all of his email addresses, but it doesn't seem to be working. So.
No luck. Well, that's unfortunate.
I'm going to see if I can call him on my cell phone and just get him to talk.
Okay, and then actually while we're doing that, if anyone has any questions that they want to type in the chat bar, that works. And the other thing that's, I think, going on, he says he can't join on video, but he can view it. So I'm wondering if we actually have other viewers who are viewing.
Oh, I see viewers, definitely. I can see Tony and Marco.
But I'm wondering if we have even more than that, because Chris can see it, but we can't see him.
Yep.
So,
1 second.
I don't know.
1 second, Chris.
There might be people besides our awesome audience on the cameras.
All right, well, here's Chris Lolini. I have him on speakerphone on my cell phone, so a little bit of a hack right now, but here he is. All right, go ahead, Chris.
Perfect. Well, thanks for having me on the call.
Yeah.
And I think I've got a little bit of a delay here, so I am going to pause what I've got here going on. But yeah, I just wanted to take a quick couple of seconds. I mean, definitely what Jeff has kind of explained to you is definitely a hack to kind of get to the top of the search engines and really get the visibility that you need for your nonprofit. And then again, like Stacy said, social media is also key in making sure that when people come and are looking for you and to learn more about, just say they got a direct mail piece in the mail from you, what they're looking for is to just get a better idea of who you are, what the personality is of the organization, things that you're getting involved with. So, definitely making sure that you are staying active on those platforms is going to be key. And one thing that, really nonprofits haven't even scrape the surface on is reviews. And it is a huge place, especially from an SEO standpoint, where I think there are a lot of gains that can be made by a nonprofit. Simply because right? I mean, just like they're trying to attract attention and investment in your products or services, in your case, it's the goodwill that you're doing in the community or outside the community. And what they're gonna be doing when they get that piece, that direct mail piece or whatever the form of communication is that you do to reach out, is they're going to treat you just like any other business. And 97% of people do research online before they purchase from a local business, and 92% of consumers read reviews online before they use a local business. And why that wouldn't translate to nonprofits is totally the muck. I mean, it is the same thing for a nonprofit. Especially if they've never heard about you before. I mean, what they want is, especially if your letter or whatever that you've reached out to them with is compelling, they want a reason as to why they want to spend their money or donate their money to your cause. And having that sort of social proof, that social indication that, hey, this isn't some person that set up, a nonprofit in their garage and they thought it was a good idea, and they're just looking for some money for a cause. Instead, you want to sort of show yourself and showcase yourself as an established nonprofit, somebody that's doing good things in the community. And what better way than to have your donors be putting up their reviews of how they've interacted or how they've participated or how they've donated, and the results of that time and money that they have invested in your organization and what it has brought to the community. I think that would be, that's such an easy testament to really getting the visibility you need and showing the social proof behind your organization and what it's doing in the community. And Jeff, I don't know if you can, but if you go in there and you search, nonprofit Seattle, what you're going to get is, the top 3 listings is what we call the Google Snack Pack, and those are all local listings, making sure Stacy was talking about, getting your Google Plus page for your business. I know it's a nonprofit, but it needs a business page so that you can have that visibility and actually come up in search results when somebody's looking for you, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to get a mailer from you, they're going to get an email from you, whatever the case may be, and they're just going to stick your name right into Google, and making sure that you kind of come up is the most important part. But if you look at nonprofits on a whole, I think that the majority of them have anywhere between 0 and about 4 reviews out there. So, if you could just reach out and ask for a couple of reviews from some of your donors, that could be just a huge differentiator for you in terms of trying to claim visibility in this space. And I think, Jeff, you can echo my sentiment on this, but it's about 20 to 30% of your SEO is wrapped up in your reviews, and the number that you have, the overall rating score that you have from those reviews, how frequently you get them, how fresh they are in terms of how recent they are, and all those factors play into boosting your own visibility in the search engine. So just one of those things that I would say that I don't like to exclude everybody, but 99% of nonprofits are not thinking about. And especially, as a nonprofit where you're working on a really tight budget, you've got the time, the energy, and the sweat equity that you can put out. Asking your donors for that type of support could go a very, very long way in terms of letting you and helping you gain the visibility and expand the donation base that you're looking for, just by simply reaching out and asking for them to review you on Google, Yelp, Facebook, any platform that you're really out there sort of trying to promote your nonprofit would be critical. And I think it could be a game changer for a nonprofit. I haven't seen any nonprofit take it on. I've been trying to proclaim the power of this for them, and I highly recommend it. It works for small businesses. It doesn't matter what small business you are, and a nonprofit is really no different in that case.
Yeah, I think the idea really is that nonprofits, they're such people pleasers. They're there to make you feel good, and the fact that they don't advertise that more, half the time let's just say, for instance, those advertisements on television of animals, right? You can donate to kids in Africa. Nonprofits do such great things in the world, and the fact that they don't collect reviews on that sometimes is a little bit mind-blowing. And it does all come back to social proofs. People are going to want to know that that the money that they're giving, or the time or the energy that they're giving, is being well spent. And the best way to find that is usually, the first step is almost always reviews. Social media is a good way to get your foot in the door. Problem with social media is that Facebook is the most popular one, with 80% of all social engagement and social media traffic goes through Facebook. And Facebook is very easily to get distracted. So there's a lot of competition on there. It's very saturated. So really, reviews are going to be one of the best ways. It's really the first step of SEO, I tell everybody. Second step usually is writing good content and then sharing that content through social media. So in a nonprofit case, I would say collecting reviews is about as important as getting signed up for Google Grants. Because Google Grants have to be pointed somewhere. So either you have to point them to a website, which you need to have, or you can point them to your social media sites, which could be an alternative. and or you could use review or point them to review websites, which would be a third alternative. But they're going to need to see some kind of proof that they aren't just giving their money away to fake organization, and they'd like to know that they'd like to feel good about their decision on working or supporting you. So reviews, social media, and Google Grants are all useful tools for nonprofit to attract volunteers, increase their donations, and just to keep growing. So yeah, and the great thing about nonprofits is everybody's really looking to help out, and it's not always that in a for-profit situation you usually have to put your money where your mouth is. As a nonprofit, there's a lot more opportunities and alternatives. So here are just
another.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say another thing, that you can use or utilize and leverage reviews for is you can put those inside of any type of mailer that you're doing. You can put them on your website. I mean, that's the power. It's a third-party validator. I tell businesses all the time, having those testimonials, handwritten on your website. Nobody trusts those as much anymore because, in their eyes, a business is only going to put the best stuff up there, right, that they've been able to collect from their customers. So, providing that sort of link back to your Yelp page or that link back to your Google Plus page or Facebook for that matter. I mean, all of these are indication and validation by a third party. It's something that, can't be bought, it can't be swayed, so it is really an impartial indicator of the quality of work that you're doing and how people have felt after they've, engaged with your organization and the results that they've seen of their money. And so I think that, leveraging that now when it is such a nascent sort of avenue for visibility, I think that could have, it could set you literally years ahead of any other nonprofit that's out there. And, I hope that anybody that's out there listening to this, really takes advantage of that and uses that to the best of their ability.
All right, I'm going to get Stacy back on for a second.
Hi.
Hey. All right. Anything else you'd like to say, Stacy? Any quick recommendations that you'd make to a nonprofit?
I mean, I think find one person or two people max to be in charge of certain tasks. Definitely delegate and make sure people know what they're doing. Even it doesn't have to be a big drawn-out plan. Just simply delegate things so that they get done. And if they're not getting done, just make sure you have another way to take care of it. Or if there's something that you're not able to keep up with, see if that's even the right thing you want to be doing and maybe move on to something that you are going to keep up on. So it's really about maintaining what you're doing and not trying to spread yourself too thin. If there's something you're really not going to keep up with, that's okay, but I would recommend not having a bunch of half-finished stuff all over the internet.
I would agree with that. I think you should figure out something you want to do, stick with it, and if it's not working, start asking questions, because that's part of the power of social media. You can create a discussion, and next thing you know, through your questions, you'll have a bunch of content. So instead of having to reinvent the wheel and start from scratch, and often waste a lot of time because most of us are perfectionists and don't want to publish something until we feel like it's really worth publishing. You can just get involved on the internet and meet people. And again, instead of getting held up on something, get some help, or find a different way of doing things. But social media and reviews are a great way to ask your potential audience questions and to learn from them. Instead of trying to figure out what would make them happy, ask them and let them tell you.
And one last thing, I just shared a Seattle nonprofit search in the chat bar. So if anyone wants to see what comes up when you do search nonprofits in Seattle, I think that can be, if you're in Seattle, a really good jumping off point to see what other people are doing and what's coming up when you search that. Yeah,
and we're going to be doing this monthly, and this time, because it was kind of last second, we weren't able to get a nonprofit to use as an example, but I'm going to start immediately, actually tomorrow, looking for a nonprofit to use as an example for next month's webinar. So in that case, you won't even have to follow along or do anything at all. You can watch me do all the work for you and watch us use you as an example and get your SEO, social media, and reputation marketing jump-started on the spot. So if you're not a nonprofit but you know someone that could use that, please point them our way.
Awesome. Yay.
Cool.
Thank you,
Anything else
everyone.
you guys want to say? All right. That's us. I guess we'll start signing off. If you have any questions, please just find us on Facebook or anywhere, really. We'll be on the lookout.
Yep, and I'm at Home Key Seattle on Twitter, and I'm Organized Social Media on Facebook.
And I'm Jeff Purkis with Seattle Web Search, and Chris Lolini is with Reputation Igniter. And you can find us all on the Facebook event page and the Google Plus event page. And this will be automatically getting sent over to YouTube, which I'm probably going to hopefully go in and make some edits so it's a little bit cleaner.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks again, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.